Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I'm your host, Jay Meat Tenderizer Cluett, and this is another episode of our Deep Blue Sea adjacent shows without my regular co-host Mark, still on paternity leave, still having a wonderful time with his new baby. Congratulations to everyone involved. So what are we doing today? Today we're talking about Bait. What is Bait? Bait is a 2012 Sharks in a Supermarket film. Sounds a lot like Snakes on a Plane. Any other similarities we'll get to. This was directed by Kimball Rendell, fun name to say, and stars the likes of Xavier Samuel, Shani Vinson, Adrian Pang, just a lot of people I don't know, and then Julian McMahon from Nip Tuck and the Fantastic Four films. The plot is basically there's a tidal wave in Australia, and a bunch of people get stuck in an underground car park with a 12-foot great white shark. So an underground supermarket and a car park with a great white shark. Meanwhile, there's like a botched robbery going on and a few other plots that will tie up along the way. So I need someone to help me talk about this, and somebody picked this film to talk about. He actually pipped a few other people to the post that were looking forward to talking about Bait, so he got in quick. So joining me from... You have so many podcasts these days, Sean. I can't remember what any of them are called. It's Sean Homley. Welcome back to the show, Sean. Sean, tell us welcome back, Sean.
Hello.
Just at the top of the show. So many podcasts. What are your podcasts these days?
Right now I have 3 active podcasts. I have 1001 Movies podcast, which is up and alive for once. It died, and now I have a co-host. So we do that, and the Best Picture podcast, in which we look at we pick a year at random and watch the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. And more recently, since Confab is over, we're now doing the Cabot Cove Confab, where we talk about Murder, She Wrote. So for all you 50s and betters out there, yeah, check it out, the Cabot Cove Confab.
So the Columbo Confab was the one I could remember, top of my head, but I also remember that you'd stopped it. So I've still...
There's like 69 episodes, and so that's finite. And then we decided to do a podcast about sci-fi and horror films, which we called We Watch on Netflix, but nobody listened to it. And so we stopped that, and we did the Cabot Cove Confab, and now people are listening.
I find it helps to find a niche.
We found a niche.
Yeah, horror and sci-fi on Netflix is a vaguer premise, whereas episode by episode of a beloved TV show that, to be fair, I've never seen an episode of that or Columbo. But I do enjoy mystery, so I don't know. I just haven't. It's I think a little before my time. The Jonathan Creek is a series that was around exactly my period of watching TV growing up. So that's the mystery. You should do the Jonathan Creek Confab. I will be there every episode when you get down that.
Yeah, no, there's some folks actually that did a Columbo podcast. These 2 Scottish guys, and they did the first Columbo podcast that I know of, and then they did a Jonathan Creek podcast when they were done with Columbo. So
maybe I will seek them out.
I'm familiar with Jonathan Creek, but I've never seen an episode. So
it's a lot of locked rooms. It annoyed my wife after a little while because we binged, got the box set and watched them all in a short period, and I'd say 3/4 of the episodes are this room was locked but somebody died inside. And
I love that.
It's great.
You know what? I'm going to check that out now.
Every episode's a mystery, and he's like a magician's. He's a guy who makes tricks for a magician. So he's got that kind of mind to look at things differently from other people. And there's various assistants along the way. But you...
Are there sharks in it? Jay?
To memory, there are no sharks in this. I was going to ask, have there ever been any sharks in Murder, She Wrote or Columbo that you can recall? Was there ever a mystery where it turned out the shark did it?
No. There was one with a bull where there was a Mexican bullfighter played by Ricardo Montalban who uses a bull to kill a colleague, but no sharks. Oh, they showed the fake shark in Universal Studios one time.
Okay. Any set in a supermarket?
Yeah, there was one supermarket scene, one that I can remember with Robert Culp. But yeah, that's all I can remember. In Murder, She Wrote, I have no idea yet. We've only done like 4 episodes so far. So
fair enough. And something else you do on the side is that you host murder mystery parties, or you run and take part in them, I believe.
Yes, yes. Not so much in the last year or so because of obvious reasons,
Yes.
because we can't have parties. But it's back and alive, and I've got requests. And yesterday I did a birthday party for a 14-year-old.
How did that go?
I didn't want to do it. It went better than I expected, and you just have to get over the fact that maybe sometimes, even if you have a microphone, some people are more interested in looking at their phones or taking selfies than listening to you. But she chose the 1980s theme. So I got questions like, what's a Walkman? What's a cassette? Who is Jack Daniels? And I found that really hilarious. And the mom was there, and she was playing a character. She was the only grown person. Well, not that 14-year-olds aren't grown. Well, she was the mom. Not. She and I were the only ones laughing at that. Like, what's a cassette? It's the thing that I used to listen to when I was your age or
like
younger.
It's like a CD, and then you get like, what's a CD? And we're now like several iterations past what a cassette would be.
Yeah. It just boggles my mind that people I mean, to be fair, okay, this is why. Because when I was 14 years old, I knew what an 8-track cassette was. Because my mom at one time when I was little had them lying around. And by the time I was 14, she had gotten rid of them all, but I knew what it was. I never listened to one, but whatever. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you, so I had like 2 cassettes growing up, and then it was onto CDs, which was enough to know what they were. I had my hi-fi that I said I had a little cassette thing on the front of it. I used it a couple of times, but mostly the CD, mostly the radio. But I didn't really know what 8-tracks were until I was a lot older, until like it was referenced in a film or a TV show. I don't think I've ever actually seen an 8-track in real life. So my parents had like vinyl records, but I've never seen them play them.
But those are back now. I mean, vinyl records are back and people are buying them. And I think to buy I don't know why we're talking about this, but to buy an actual vinyl record player, they're very expensive. And I just don't have the setup to do it, but whatever.
Well, yeah. Regular guest of the show, Nick Rehack, is a big collector of vinyl, so I hear a lot about it from him. Yeah. He goes skip diving every weekend looking for vinyls. So good for him.
I will say though, I am into physical media, so almost everything that I watch, I buy on DVD, Blu-ray, or more recently 4K. So I have a huge collection of physical media. I'm not a big subscriber of streaming services, so I don't have Disney Plus, I don't have the HBO, I don't have the Paramount. I just have Netflix for now, and that's it, and Shudder. So yeah, and then by the way, segue. I watched this film, Bait, on Tubi for free. And this is not a commercial for Tubi, but it is a streaming service, and they have a whole bunch of movies that you've never heard of, but might be really good or really bad, especially if you're into horror movies. So,
well, yeah. Speaking of horror movies that I never heard of, might be good or bad, and that I bought on physical media, Bait. I bought it on DVD, so I watched it so I had the same segue as you, but I did it as well.
Does it have special features on it?
Does it have special features? The special features it has of it are a very brief making of, and that greatest of all special features, the trailer for the film.
Oh, okay.
It's just, I always find it to be just a waste of DVD space. It's like, you can watch the trailer for the film you just watched? It's like, oh, no thank you. Yeah, so Bait. Why did you pick Bait when presented with a list of Deep Blue Sea adjacent films?
Okay, so here's the thing. The thing about shark movies is that usually you go to the sharks and the sharks eat you. Like if you watch The Shallows, is that? And I may have not, or it might be The Reef. I don't know. I get them all mixed up. People go on vacation, they go swimming, and there's a shark or sharks and all that. This movie, no, I'm just at the store to buy some pickles and yogurt, and all of a sudden there's a tsunami, and I'm going to be eaten by sharks. I heard about this on a podcast. I think it was called the Hammered Horror Podcast. I don't think it's around anymore. And they mentioned all they had to say was 2 words. 4 words. sharks in a supermarket. And you know what? If that tickles your pickle, and you're like, I want to see that, you will probably like this movie. Because it's a shark movie, obviously, but it's also survival horror. And it's also like a disaster film, like a Poseidon Adventure or Towering Inferno, because you've got this ensemble cast with like one or two lead characters, and you don't know who's going to live or who's going to die. You're pretty sure that one guy is going to die because he's an asshole.
Oh, there's a few people who are like, yep, start the timer. Listeners, is full spoiler podcast. Watch Bait, it's fun. There's like the asshole guy in the car with his girlfriend. He's gonna die any second. The manager is just a prick from the second one. And the crazy guy who shows up who turns out to be the other killer. Those are the three. Like, these guys, bye. Just go on, just jump in the water now. It's good. Save some time.
And there were other people that I thought were going to die, and the first time I saw it, I didn't remember, but a lot of people end up surviving this movie, and I was kind of pleased. Like, I want to see people get eaten by sharks and stuff and see the blood flow, but no, I ended up, like, caring about some of these people. And when there's this one guy, let's see, I didn't remember a single one of their names. I think the main guy was named Josh.
Yes.
But, like, the boyfriend of his ex-girlfriend, he has this...
Steven.
Steven? Okay. Yeah. I didn't see that coming. Like, I thought he was going to live a lot longer, and it's sad when he dies because, like, he saves everybody. And he suffocates. He doesn't even get killed by a shark. When everybody else gets...
Well, his death there are some pretty memorable deaths, and his is one that stands out. It is kind of a stupid death, I think, in that he could have not died, because we're jumping ahead to the middle of the film, which is fine. So they're trapped in the supermarket, and they realize there's a dangling electric wire that's going to hit the water and electrocute everyone.
I don't know how that works, but whatever. I don't know if that would really happen.
It's the film. Fine, it's going to happen. Because they're all on metal shelving, and it'll kill the shark, but also everyone else. So they need to send somebody to the back room to turn off the fuse box, to trip the switch, and Stephen volunteers. There's a shark in the water, so they make him a makeshift suit of armor made out of shopping trolleys and various other bits that they can scavenge. And I really missed a montage of them just grabbing and finding and building this thing. I would have loved that. I love when they have that in films. I just wanted
the cage scene in Jaws when they put together the shark cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, what can we use? Let's grab this thing. Let's bend this around his shoulders. Let's tie all of these heavy cans to his feet to bring him to the bottom. I mean, it was a great reveal seeing him fully kitted out, and then he jumps in the water and he sinks to the bottom. They got a really long hose as a snorkel. Great. I just want to see them grabbing all that stuff. I believe they could. I just want to see it. And so he trudges, goes pretty slowly. At one point, the shark butts up to him, sniffs him around, pokes him a bit, and wanders off because it assumes that he's some kind of humanoid shopping trolley. Fine. He gets into the back room, flips the switch. Great, but it was just like a couple of feet further than he could make it with the snorkel. So he had to take a deep breath, throw the snorkel away, then do the switch. Then he can't get to the surface because of the heavy cans around his feet, and he keeps swimming up and he drowns. And he's already taken one of his big gloves that he's wearing off. Undo the things around your feet. It's all just taped on, just to get it off.
Someone needs to be the sacrificial lamb, and someone needs to make us feel something. And otherwise, how is the main guy, Josh? How's he going to get back with his girlfriend?
Well, that's maybe the part of the film that frustrates me the most when any film does this, where they set up a love triangle and then they kill one of the points of it, so the triangle disappears. And now the characters haven't got to make any kind of decision. Everything's been resolved for them. The Hunger Games films are the worst for me, where the whole franchise is set up who's Katniss gonna choose? Is it the really hunky guy or the guy who looks like a potato? And they then spoilers for the Hunger Games films, the really hunky guy